Nic Peterson here, and I'm going to talk about quickly learning and mastering skills in a way that is practically applicable, a way that makes you an asset in the real world. And the reason why learning is so important, especially today when there's so much information, is that the future belongs to the people that can learn, the people that can take in the vast and complex information and not be overwhelmed by it. They have a system of filtering and learning from it, and even holding conflicting ideas in their head while they determine what is closer to the truth. What does the truth look like? Not what's right or wrong, but what is reality. Okay, and that's really what learning and mastery is all about. Uh, Real quick, Napoleon used to present aluminum plates when he wanted to impress somebody. Aluminum, right? If you go even further back, Emperor Tiberius of Rome was once presented with a aluminum plate. From a goldsmith said, here's an aluminum plate. And he had the man beheaded over aluminum. The reason being that at the time, aluminum was so rare and it was so valuable that it would have made the emperor's stockpile of gold and silver devalued. It would have devalued that stockpile of gold. So people have been beheaded over aluminum. It used to be so hard to excavate and so hard to melt down and form that it was super rare. It was actually the rarest metal at the time. Anyway, we've learned to excavate it. Sorry. We've learned to mold it. It's pretty simple now. Now it's on the gutters around our house, and it's really not a big deal. Not so valuable anymore. The point being, what is valuable today is not necessarily going to be valuable tomorrow. So what is valuable now, more so than ever, the way things are changing so quickly, is the ability to adapt, the ability to learn, the ability to encounter new situations and figure it out. Okay? Not knowing what to do in a situation or knowing how to do a specific thing, but instead the skill set of figuring shit out. So how do you learn new skills, new skill sets quickly and efficiently, and perform like a top 1%er in the world? If you think of an entrepreneur, this is what great entrepreneurs do. They're masters of their craft, but they also, to get it out there, they have to become a master of influence, a master of sales, a master of their own emotions, a master of critics, right? Handling people, influence people, that kind of thing, at a top 1% level. So how do they learn quickly? And if you go through history, it's pretty systematic. The same thing I do when, hey, I got to learn sales, I run through this system. Hey, I got to learn this new skill set, I run through this system. And it starts with step one. Ask yourself, why are you learning this? What is the purpose of learning this? If you are learning this, if this is a rote memorization and you want to remember big words and impress your friends, that's not what this is about. We're not here. There's plenty of memorization techniques. You can go Google them. They're all over the place. But we're here to internalize for the sake of practical application, for the sake of actually being good at something in real life, right? So why? Why am I learning this? When you go through school, you're going to have classes that you want to master. If it's a subject you really want to learn and internalize, you're going to make the mental decision to master it. If it's something you just got to pass in order to pass and get on to the next thing, make the mental decision to pass it. Okay, so you really have to say, why am I doing this? The purpose should be to build mental models, right? Build mental models that help me make better decisions. So when you approach something and you want to master it, whether it be sales, marketing, influence, relationship, business, whatever it might be, why do I want to learn this? If it is for practical purposes to make better decisions in real life, then we want to run through this list. Okay, we'll talk about this later on. Two, once you made the decision, this is something you want to master. This is something you want to internalize. You have to revert back to a state of ignorance where you know nothing. If you go into a situation, if I want to learn sales, and I go into it thinking I know anything about sales, I've already closed off a lot of opportunity to learn, right? So consciously have to make the decision to revert back to ignorance. And it's a conscious choice. It doesn't reflect poorly on you. It is a power move. It is a smart move to turn back into a sponge. Robert Greene says revert to a childlike state of dependence where you depend on this person. You're choosing to, but you depend on this person so you can soak in information. And your ego is going to get in the way. Turn it off. Remember, at any point you can turn your independence back on. But the longer you can stay in a state of dependence and learn, the quicker you're going to master things, the less resistance there's going to be with your current belief systems. Okay. 3, once you're ready to observe, or once you've observed and soaked it in, you have to embrace mechanical knowledge. Mechanical knowledge is developed by working with your hands. It is not a lesser form of intelligence to work with your hands. Big mistake we make, especially with podcasts, audiobooks, books. Sitting around intellectualizing is great, but you don't develop the mastery if you don't work with your hands. Okay, so this is the Wright brothers, who I'll really delve into later on, but the Wright brothers beat everybody at the first flying machine because they were working with their hands. They had this tacit knowledge, which is knowledge that's not explicit. You can't explain it. You don't have the words as a feeling, or maybe it's the way the bike feels and you don't know how to explain it. So if you're not working on your own craft, the craftsmanship's not going to be great, because there's going to be, if you come up with a model for a bike, right, and you have somebody else test it and tell you what needs to be fixed, there's going to be a disconnect. They're not going to have that tacit knowledge, or they're going to have the tacit knowledge, but they're not going to have the words to explain it, right? So you have to work with and test your own product. That is a mechanical knowledge. If you want to learn how to work with clay, or you want to learn how to ride a bike, or you want to learn how to do sales, you better put your hands in the clay, you better get on the bike, and you better get on the phone or in person and start doing. That rapid feedback is going to be what expedites the mastery process. Okay, and with that comes step 4. When you're working with stuff, you're going to fail. Now, what I do is take failure and swap it with the word discovery. So the Wright brothers did not fail thousands of times before they built the flying machine. They discovered how. And it does a few things. 1, it's more of a positive word. And 2, you're less likely to quit if you convince yourself you're discovering things, right? Charles Darwin went out discovering things. He didn't fail a bunch of times. He discovered how not to communicate his observations, right? When he was on the USS Beagle, he got torn apart for the way he presented his ideas. So he learned how to not present his ideas, but he didn't fail. He kept going, right? So failure is part of it. I used to say fail fast, fail forward. Now I just say discover more. Okay, so tell yourself this is discovery. It's not failure. It's not failure till I quit. Go discover. And 5, Dr. Trevor Kashey introduced this to me. He's a good friend of mine, obviously co-owner of Relentless Dietetics. Really introduced the concept of sleep. And as he was talking to me about it, I realized this is something I really need to take seriously. It does a few things. Enhances your memory. It makes it much, much more likely that you retain information, which is great. But more importantly, when you sleep and you get your enough sleep, when you get enough REM sleep, it helps you see a bigger picture and take ideas from over here and ideas from over here, and it allows you to see them both. And while you're sleeping and while you're dreaming, it's trying to make connections you would never make when you're awake. Okay, so sleeping is like when you're awake and you're focused, you're learning to play the violin, you're learning to play the piano, you're really focused on riding a bike. It's like looking through the wrong end of a telescope, right? You're super myopic and granular, trying to figure this thing out. And you're missing all these things out here that might be useful to the process. But you got to focus, right? When you sleep, it's like turning the telescope around, and it allows your brain to work on all these problems. Most importantly, potentially, is the fact that you're working on these problems with no emotional attachment. When you sleep, you're kind of in a bath of like calm and relax, right? So you can make a little bit more logical decisions when you're sleeping well, and you have a less granular view. And that leads to active mastery while you are passively sleeping, right? So instead of 10,000 hours of practice and perfect practice, the combination of a whole bunch of practice with sleep is going to be a quicker path or more likely path to mastery. So those are the big 5 things that I really want you to understand. And look, why am I learning this? Am I willing to revert back to this state of dependence? Am I willing to be the dumbest person in the room? Am I willing to work? If I want to learn sales, not just theorize about it, am I willing to get on the phone? Am I willing to talk to people? If I want to build a flying machine, am I willing to test it myself? Right? That's the mechanical intelligence that needs to be developed. Am I willing to discover and fail? Okay, that's step 4. And sleep. Is there any way I can protect my sleep or utilize my sleep in order to be more creative, remember better, learn faster? And we'll get into how to do that as well. So there it is, 5 things that are going to get you to learn and master things quicker. Hope you guys realize you just got hit with some really powerful and pragmatic stuff. Don't you think? I do. And if you agree, hit the thumbs up button below and like the video. Let me know in the comments what other videos you want to see, what you want me to expand upon, and what questions you have. And remember, all of this stuff is only as powerful as the actions you take in your execution, the practical applications you can derive from it. So let's see how quickly and effectively and efficiently you can master the things to come. You're going to get information here that's going to help you on your journey that you will not find anywhere else. So be sure to subscribe. You don't want to miss one of these videos.